Right. Okay, take two. I am calling to order this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Long Grove for July 13th, 2021. I note that this meeting is being held in person at the Village Hall for the first time since the pandemic began. As Village President, however, I have determined that due to the conditions relating to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is only feasible to make the Village Hall accessible to a limited number of public to attend this meeting in person. In-person attendance by members of the public is being limited to those who have pre-registered, and pre-registration was made available on a first-come, first-served basis as set forth in the Village Board agenda. For persons who had not pre-registered for in-person attendance tonight, the public access to this meeting has been made available through the Zoom platform as set forth on the meeting agenda. The members of the Village Board have also connected to the Zoom platform to allow the public to hear the open session proceedings. I will ask Village Clerk Gayton to take the roll call to confirm that a quorum is present and that everyone can be heard. What?
Jenny says she can't hear.
Jenny can't hear.
She stole my thunder.
No, I can hear now. That was an old message.
Oh, good. Okay, so Rocky, can you hear me?
Here.
Trustee Kutzmeyer, can you hear me? Yes. Trustee
I
Rocky?
think so.
Awesome.
It's perfect, also can the speaker hear us, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll get to the speaker. Trustee O'Connor, can you hear me?
I can.
Trustee Micho, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Excellent.
All right, we're good. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get this meeting going.
We have a recognition that Jenny's attending remotely.
Oh, okay. So, we do, even though we're still under the pandemic.
We do because we have more than a quorum present. So Trustee Micho is not in attendance in person, and unless there's an objection, she will be allowed to participate remotely.
So should somebody make a motion to allow her to?
We can do that.
Okay. Moved by Trustee O'Connor, seconded by?
Second.
By Trustee Kritzmeyer. That would be a roll call.
Trustee O'Connor? Aye. Trustee Micho?
I,
Yeah,
if I
she
can.
can.
She can't.
That's what we're voting on. Trustee O'Reilly? Trustee Kutzmeyer? Aye. And Trustee Borowski?
Yes. Okay, welcome to the meeting. All right. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. The first thing on the agenda is the homeowners associations. Is anyone here from Heron's Landing? Ken Glazer?
But I spoke with him this week.
I thought he was gonna attend, didn't you say he was gonna attend?
Yeah, so I got a call saying that
Okay.
representation would be here.
Fairfield Village? Athena, are you here? I don't see her anywhere, so not online. Okay. I know that I saw Sergeant Ryan Amber on here somewhere. So, you're up next on the agenda. Ryan, join us.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm having some video.
Yeah. Do you have anything for the board?
No, nothing of importance. Just sadly, the tragic accident from last week on Route 53 was about the only major incident to report. So that's still under investigation, but single car accident. Sad.
Yeah, the board was made aware of it, and it was in the paper on Sunday that the driver went off the road right near Robert Parker Coffin Road and hit a tree and died. A
Yeah.
28-year-old. Yeah.
So sadly, that was road was closed down for a while. So we called and let you guys know there was going to be some delays with traffic because it did happen around rush hour. So they got it all sorted. Other than that, anybody have anything for me?
What are you learning on Osage?
I've been to check in. I'm not sure if the speed board is still there or not. I think it's been there for a
It's
couple.
not, I went over the weekend, it's gone.
Yeah, so usually we keep them for
No.
2 to 3 week increments, or the battery dies and then they have to pull it out, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's we do need to put some speed limit signs up on Osage, so that's something, you have them at the entrance, and then you go in subdivision, they're not there, so. Thank you for doing that, by the way, too. I'm sure the residents appreciated that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Did anybody see it?
Anytime there's something like that in the village, if you give me a heads up, I can usually get it out there within a couple weeks.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Do you want to meet our new village manager,
Sure.
Greg Jackson? I don't know if he can smile or whatever, wave. Can you see him?
Yeah, we had a short email correspondence today, so I just got all of his contact information when I came in this morning.
I appreciate the communication from both Ryan as well as Chris Cavelli from the headquarters got in touch with me as well. So I appreciate the communication.
Yeah, I'll touch base with you here in the near future, and we can chat a little bit more about my role and what I'm here for you guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
All
Have a
right,
good night.
well, Ryan, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, have a good night.
Yeah, you as well. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the oath of office for Gregory G. Jackson as village manager for the Village of Long Grove. So I don't know if we want to stand up there, and I'll go ahead and swear you in. We'll do this formally in front of the public. Can you make it by? I think we can be seen, right? Yeah, we're on the video, so. Okay, will you repeat after me? I, Gregory Jackson, do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the village manager
of the office of the village manager
of the Village of Long Grove,
for the Village of Long Grove,
Illinois, to the best of my ability.
Illinois, to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
And you have to sign it too and give it to the.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations, Greg.
Okay, so, and you need to sign that. I think, Vic, you want a copy of it, right?
But it doesn't mean tonight.
Okay, got it. The next item on the agenda is the community grant application for the Midwest Sustainability Group. And I don't know who wants to introduce that topic. I see Barbara on the line too, but Rita, do you want to introduce the topic?
Sure, be happy to. I had a chance to talk to a couple of the trustees, Greg, I didn't have a chance to get hold of you. I suggested that Barb fill out the form not because we are asking for a grant from the cultural grant money, but so that you would have the information in front of you, background, 501c3, what the group is trying to accomplish, so on and so forth. We have the money allocated in the budget. We've got $40,000 allocated for Route 53 activities, shall we say, grassroots activities. We, most importantly at this point in time, we had planned to have a tour with our legislators and with the mayors from the affected communities and all of the trustees in August, when all of the prairie flowers are abloom and the wetlands look beautiful. We're going to do winter and spring as well. The problem is flowers are blooming now. They don't know it's July and not August. So in order to get the drone work and drone work is one part of it. The other is getting the legislators together in July instead of, we thought we had more time for August. And in order to make this work, it's going to be a progressive lunch sort of event from northern Long Grove to southern Long Grove along so the people who are making these decisions can see the land that's being affected. We need vans, we need food, we need dollars. So the request is for 10,000 to go toward the grassroots efforts as well as this soiree we're putting on at the end of this month.
So a joint task force was formed, right?
Yes.
What to do with that Route 53 corridor. The Midwest Sustainability Group was behind that all along, right?
And others.
And others, right? Yeah, many others. We talked about it a couple of meetings ago, right? So we want to make sure that we show the beauty of Long Grove, right?
Correct.
Along this way, and it's so
Correct.
important that we do that because, you know, you have to actually see the property to understand what would be destroyed if a highway got built through there, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's the object. And
Yeah.
Barb had to drop something off in my house a month or so ago, and she said, "My God, I didn't even know that was back there." You know, and there are pockets of this town that are simply amazingly beautiful that people rarely see, but they would be negatively affected, would have been. So we're trying to, you know, accomplish that. And it's probably not appropriate to ask for a motion since it's or can I make a motion even though it's not coming out of the pot that's indicated?
It's not on the agenda for the Route 53 allocation. With the time sensitivity, technical answer is no.
Okay.
The practical answer is with the time sensitivity, if the board is in the frame of mind to approve this, it can be approved tonight, knowing that will have to be ratified at our next meeting.
I would move that, because I'm in favor of it. I don't think it should come through the community grant avenue, but we did budget for support of that, and then, so it's just sitting there. It's an appropriate line item for that.
Well, it also shouldn't come through the community grant program because it's not within the timeframe for the application, which was very confusing to those of us who didn't know that it was going to be coming from somewhere else. I support it, I've always supported it, but procedurally, I think we need to follow the right.
Yeah, and if you want to approve it tonight, do so, but it's got to come back to you and make sure that we properly dot the i's and cross the t's.
And so how is that motion?
We'll make the motion to approve it, and then we'll just make sure that it's on next agenda to approve it for real.
Well, they need the money right away, right?
I would make it second.
Okay, so moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee O'Reilly. That's a motion to approve this initially, right?
To
be
approve
ratified.
it through the Route 53 line item,
Route 50.
and subject to ratification at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Trustee Borowski?
Yes.
Trustee Christmas?
Yes.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Does that mean we can release the funds
Yes.
before then?
Yes. Just don't change your mind between now and then.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Michaud?
Yes.
And Trustee O'Connor?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, motion carried. Thank you. Yep, no, you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you all.
No, thank you, Mike. I know you've worked hard on this for a lot of years too, so thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Barb, you're on mute.
I just want to say thank you to everyone and congratulations to your new village manager. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. The next item on the agenda is, boy, Mike, you love this topic. Discussion of the implementation of the Blue Cross Blue Shield high deductible health insurance plan and health reimbursement account for the full-time village employees. So, apparently, you know, we passed a reduction from what, 20 to 10%, right? That we would,
From 90/10 to 80/20.
90/10 to 80/20, so they would pay more, right? If I recall correctly, the resolution from 2019, this is what I recall, was not correct, so I didn't sign it, kicked it back to Dave. Apparently, it never got signed, you could never find it, and then we, again, in 2020, right, we, again approved the healthcare plan, and it had the same 80/20 in it, but no resolution was presented to me for signature, so it never got signed. Meanwhile, so they were getting the benefit of the better plan, right? And so, this was all discovered, and, you know, Dave's gone now. Village planner Jim Hogue is gonna be retiring. You know, we don't wanna, I don't think we wanna claw back money, but you know, what do we do with the situation, because they've been getting the better, healthcare plan? I don't know if you wanna add more comment or color to that.
We reviewed this also with the village attorney, and it just doesn't seem to make sense to go back after the money, especially with employees that are gone, and it could be long and protracted. And quite honestly, I would forgive my being new here and making a statement. It wasn't their fault, in essence, the employee's fault. So I think the recommendation, and I guess there's two options we can do, is wait until 2021, but that's not what the board's direction was, because they wanted to see the 80-20 split, and then make it effective first pay, or make it effective the first pay period post approval of the resolution or signing of the resolution.
Makes sense to me, and thank you for your manager's letter, because when I read the material prior to that letter, I had no clue.
Thank you.
I had no idea what we were doing. I was reading that and I gave up. I'm like,
I know, I basically said the same. So thank you for, you know, your confidential memo to us, and because that clarified it. And I would agree, I don't think it's, that's my statement, is my position is I don't think it does us any good to claw back.
I agree. Do we know whose fault it was?
Do we know how to avoid it in the future?
Yes, that's what.
I don't know, I mean, I mean, I guess I could try to go back and, I mean, the only thing I could have done myself personally, I guess, is go manually check, because I don't get them right away, right? And did I not get something to sign, right? So I don't know how I can be more, I think the staff has to make sure that they're going through these things and making sure everything gets signed, right? I mean, I'll put the blame on Bill Balling, right, for not getting it to me, right, on that one, and I don't know what Dave did with the other one, right? So
It's a staff issue. We'll put checks and balances in to make sure that every issue after the board meeting, myself and staff will go through, and any I's that need to be dotted and T's crossed, we'll put an action plan for that.
One of the things we've talked about, that this seems like it would fit in also, is like even just understanding, what is our calendar? Like that we can visually, okay, because we know these things have to be done at this time of this time.
no comment, Mike, no comment.
I want to say, welcome aboard, Greg.
Thank you.
And when I say we talked about this, well, you know, some people mentioned it, but I mean, I've kept one in my head, I've kept one in my notebook. Wouldn't it be great if we had one as a working?
Well, putting together a calendar which talks about renewal dates for insurance, that, you know, just kind of target dates that are on the radar for everybody. Once one's established, generally, they pretty much are boilerplate with just some minor tweaks. And that's something that myself and staff can certainly work on.
Well, we've also missed dates where the board has said, come January, we need to do such and such. And January comes and goes, and then some of us think about it in May or June, and lo and behold, January is gone. We lose another whole year on something. And that needs to be on a calendar too. When we collectively want something done in a particular time, we need to do it.
And we can incorporate budget cycle and other things in there too, so that it gives a full picture to the board.
Yeah.
So what do we need?
I know this is probably out of order, but I gotta go. If I could, President Jacob? Greg, if you ever want to sit down and chat about everything from master calendar to a wide variety of other potential process improvements, feel free to give me a call or an email.
Thank you for the offer. I appreciate it.
Thank you, former trustee Sarletto.
Unconditional. Gotta go. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mike. All right, bye.
Yep. Okay.
So what do we need to do on this action?
A motion, right? And then you decide you want it to be like next month, or you want to just let it go till next year, right?
Well, I think this was a discussion on it.
Yeah, it was for discussion tonight. I think we're looking for direction. We can have a resolution for you at the next meeting that will incorporate whatever it is you decide. If it's going to be starting at the 20% contribution for employees effective, I don't know what the next payroll date is, But
Be the next one.
yeah, I think you want to do it with a payroll cycle, because that's how they're
Yes.
reduced. So
Yes.
we can have it for the next, would be the end of the month, that there's a payroll?
27th is our next meeting, the 30th is the next payroll.
Okay, so we would have it effective at the July 30th payroll, and everything else stays as it has been in terms of the insurance policy. The only difference will be the employee contribution to the health insurance, and that'll be reflected in the resolution before you.
Do the employees know about
I know that this was discussed, and the employees were aware, but they were waiting for the decision of the board tonight. So I'll talk to the affected employees, just to make sure, give them a heads up.
Thank you. All right, so you have the direction you need. Everyone good?
And give out really big pay raises, right? So,
Thank you for your kind words there. I appreciate that. Yep, I agree with you.
right, so,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering if we delay it a little bit and sort of get compromised like October, because we'll go through the salary and the insurance thing again for January, right?
Everyone okay with that idea? No?
I think immediate.
Immediate, okay.
I would, let's go with Chris.
Okay, so go with Chris.
I'm not fully understood.
Well, I'm just saying, we didn't.
Delay implementation.
Yes, technically, this should have been done, but the fact is, it wasn't by our staff fault or whatever, right? So we didn't give out really big pay raises this go around. I'm just saying, you know, to kind of implement it without some heads up, longer term notice, I think is a little bit unfair. Give employees a little bit of chance to prepare. Maybe a compromise would be like October 1st as an implementation date, so that's another quarter. That way, you know, people go, okay, we've got some time. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's big money, but I haven't seen any data.
Not big money.
And so far, it's been about $1,700 according to Grace
Yeah,
calculation.
For the 6-month period at the beginning of the fiscal year, it was $560.
It's not big money, and it's human error. It happens. I'd rather err on the side of generosity for.
Can I hear from Jenny too? Because you haven't said anything.
I agree with Chris. I'd like to give the staff a couple months because, you know, big money is speculative. It's not, depending on who you're talking to.
Then I think in fairness, we ought to go to the next cycle.
Go to the next cycle
Go
meeting.
to the whole next cycle.
Next year?
Yeah, we're not talking big money, it's not our money,
But it is our money.
well,
We're stewards of it.
yeah, I don't write a check. And so I think if you're not gonna do it now, go to the next cycle.
Okay.
Don't do 6 weeks, maybe 7. Do the whole cycle.
Okay, so the next payroll cycle for next year, right? That's when we do it.
I mean, when we decide on the next insurance premium decision.
So you'd be I'm sorry, January 2021, is that what we're, I'm sorry? 22.
Yes.
Is that when that kicks in?
It's when the new insurance premiums will be set, or the new,
I think it is calendar year.
right.
Yep.
We do need to make sure to identify the change in the HRA though. There was a change in that too. So there would be, because it was to the benefit of, the employees.
I thought that had been implemented though.
No, I believe that was new this year, so we maybe have to take a look at that. If it was,
Okay.
Debbie brought it up.
Yeah, I may have misunderstood her email. I thought that the HRA was implemented, but the deductible was not.
Well, Debbie had let me know that the HRA portion also there was like a slight change in there too. So that was in the, the version it's what you updated. You actually updated it in the newest resolution. So it is there.
Okay.
I think we're gonna need another explanation.
Yeah, right.
Oh, no, when I saw it, when I heard about it, I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking for blame, but just, I interpret what you just, the pluses and minuses.
We'll give a memo to the board for the next package, so everybody's aware of what transpired, if everybody's comfortable with that.
So once we reassess all of this, we'll make sure that you get a resolution if needed, and if not, we'll just wait to the end of the year. If there is a resolution, it will not kick in the 20%, but that will be for the next cycle. I think that's the consensus, is that what I'm hearing?
I'm good with that. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Any objections? No? Yeah.
No, it seems fair.
Jenny, you're good with that?
I am. Thank you.
I keep waiting for you to unmute on your screen, but you're not because you're.
My button is really sticky. I have to press it like 5 times.
Got it. Okay, good. All right, well, I'm going to move us on to the next item, unless there's any questions. All right, so this is a fun one because there were so many great candidates, and I'm going to hope that you're going to support who I'm going to pick. But this is consideration of nomination to fill the vacancy in the office of trustee. I have not, the only people I've told is the board. I have not announced anything publicly, not have told any of the candidates. But who I want to nominate is Kent Tanucci, who is president of the Long Grove Park District, to fill the vacancy for Chuck Nora. So I would ask for your support for my nomination.
Motion to approve.
I'd just like to say one thing.
Yes.
I appreciate time talking to Kent, and I will support, and I think it will be a collegial board, and that's a good thing. One thing I do want to say, we've gotten information from the marketing project, we've gotten information that I know I've heard walking around campaigning. We're seeing a lot younger demographic move into the village, and I want us all to really be mindful. You don't have to be young to be mindful of a young demographic, but I want to say that. I think it behooves all of us, and I speak to myself, but I know I'm standing on a soapbox a little also, to really keep that in mind of the diversity of people, and that the fact that we've got a lot of younger people, and I'm not younger. And no ageism implied, you know. We don't have to have a new younger person, but I think I want to encourage and do what I can to be a cheerleader for the diversity that we've got all over the village.
Thank you.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I think you could implement that by getting out in the community and getting the 30-year-olds and the 40-year-olds to apply for commissions and committees within the village.
Agreed.
That just to walk in the door and sit down here, you need to earn it. And we have a much different community than we did 20 years ago. And it's not just age either.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of different cultural, ethnic members of our community, and I think that anyone who thinks that our board is not representation of this community ought to get out and get them involved, to stand up and say, here is my time for the village.
Agreed. Nobody's complaining to me, so I'm not being transparent. I'm speaking for myself. And you're totally right, and I'll be doing my part. And anything we can do, or anything you need me to help with writing, communicating, I'll do too.
Well, I'm not going to look.
No, but as point for our village communication.
That's why we communicate as often as we do, but we can't say, you need to be between 30 and 40,
Oh,
you
no.
have 2 children, and college degree at
And a dog,
such and such
and a dog.
university. You know, we don't need to do that. We just keep asking for volunteers.
I don't mean to digress too much, but, does the census data give us actual factual data on the age demographic?
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that soon.
Okay. That'd be
Will it be
interesting to see
accurate?
if that did.
We don't know.
Oh, yeah, right.
August is what they're saying, right?
So do you need a motion to approve this?
We have a motion.
We
need
do.
a second.
So trustee O'Reilly, so we need somebody, O'Reilly did it, and we need a second. Second it?
Sure.
Seconded by trustee Borowski. That's a roll call.
Trustee Borowski?
Yes.
Trustee Kritzmeyer?
Yes.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Yes.
Trustee Michelle?
Aye.
And Trustee O'Connor?
All right, thank you. I appreciate the support on that one. Thank you. Motion carried.
Congratulations, Ken.
Kent, are you here? I don't think he's, oh, he's here.
Yes, I
Congratulations,
am.
Kent. You know, you're finding out about this on the fly, so sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody. I appreciate your support, and I'm ready to get to work. So thank you.
You'll be invited to the next meeting, Kent.
I will be there.
All right,
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, so moving right along, the next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution recognizing the service of departing Commissioner Kelly Smith. So, Kelly, can I get you to stand in front of the room here? And I'm going to, I'm going to have what?
Come back that way. Space will be there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should be going the other way. I didn't pick that, so it's all good. Kelly, thank you, by the way. Thank you. I know, you know, Kelly came to me, like a year ago now, right, as the pandemic was started, saying, you know, I'm getting to a point where I've been doing this a long time, I want to retire, and then the pandemic hit, and he stayed on. He just did it.
Well, I was in no big hurry.
But thank you for doing that, and then
You're welcome.
we added a few more folks, and you just finally said, hey, it's time, so thank you, by the way. So this is a resolution recognizing Mr. Kelly Smith for his years of service to the Village of Long Grove on the Conservancy and Scenic Corridor Committee. Whereas Kelly Smith has served as a member of the Conservancy Scenic Corridor Committee of the Village of Long Grove for 23 years, and whereas during the majority of his tenure on the CSCC, he has served in capacity of chairman. Whereas the CSCC is charged with the responsibilities of educating and assisting in the maintenance, renovation, and enhancement of conservancy districts and scenic corridor easements and other natural areas within the village, which areas and easements are essential components of maintaining the overall unique community character of Long Grove. And whereas the CSCC also serves as a resource for understanding the function of the regulations and restrictions for the conservancy districts and scenic corridor easements, and whereas in his service to the village through the CSCC, Mr. Smith has at times worked hand in hand with some of the founding fathers of the community.
That was years ago.
Years ago he did that. Demonstrated great knowledge and devotion to the responsibilities of the CSCC, worked to improve the dissemination of information to the developers, HOAs, and community at large regarding care, maintenance, and enhancement, the value of the natural areas within the village. And the President of the Board of Trustees in the Village Board hereby recognizes his contributions to the betterment of Long Grove. Whereas Mr. Smith has informed the village he intends to retire from the CSCC, whereas the Village Board acknowledges and respects Mr. Smith's decision to step down as both a member and chairman of the CSCC, therefore be it resolved by the President, Board of Trustees of the Village of Long Grove and County of Lake County, State of Illinois, as follows. The foregoing recitals are hereby made part of this resolution as it is fully set forth. On behalf of the village and its residents, those who visit and enjoy Long Grove, the Village Board hereby recognizes the long-term services and devotion that Kelly Smith has conferred upon the village and its residents, and does honor and thank him for significant contributions in establishing and maintaining the unique rural character of Long Grove and its environs, and offer their well wishes to Mr. Smith and his future endeavors. This resolution shall be in full force effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication is required by law. So I would ask. Thank you. I would ask a motion first, right? To approve, right? Okay, moved by Trustee O'Reilly. Seconded by Trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor. Aye. Trustee Michaud.
Aye. Thank you so much.
Break it. Motion carried. Congratulations. Now, Sherry Schlagman found this gift as sort of as a memory from being. Is that Carl? I don't know if it's Carl. I want to give this to you as a token of our appreciation for your 23 years of service. I didn't know it was that small, though. Very nice. What's that?
I gotta bring some weeds in to show up.
Yeah, but anyway, you've been great to work with.
Oh, thank you, my pleasure.
My 6+ years in the board.
I've enjoyed all 23 years of it. And I realize that I'm the same age now that some of the people I first met 23 years ago were.
Oh, really?
And I didn't want to hear it anymore. But I had fun. It was fun. It's my pleasure to work with everyone here on the board and all the people that come and gone in the committee through the 23 years. I haven't made a list of all of them, but there's a sizable list of people that from the village, they gotta be a citizen, gotta be a resident, and, they have, a lot of people have served on the committee over the last several years.
And they've helped
I
us a
thank
great
them
deal.
for that.
They've helped us a great deal,
Good.
your cohort.
Right, and I think we do a pretty good job of not getting in any heated battles or shootouts and things like that. And,
Yeah, no guns allowed, right?
No, none of that. But I appreciate all the kind things.
Thank you. No, thanks for being here tonight, too, appreciate it. We're gonna miss you.
Oh,
So can we ask you to come in and join us? Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going this way, so I'll be yelling another way.
Slow learner, but a learner.
Yeah, thanks, All right. So Kelly also recommended Jeanette Berger. And so, to be his backfill. And I don't know if Jeanette's here tonight, and it's my bad if she's not. But I met with Jeanette, and I thought she was perfect for the role. You know, she has a passion for conservation. She's involved in so many other organizations, right? I didn't realize that this is what she does now since she retired. And she's been about 5 years on the commission, and she's willing to step up and comes highly recommended. So I want to appoint her as chair of the CSCC, and I would look for somebody to make a motion to appoint her. Moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee O'Reilly.
Yeah. Do you happen to know where she lives?
Yeah, she does. She lives in Lee Bassett's house. And, you know, the late Lee Bassett, my son's Eagle Scout project, was the hay rake trail, and Lee was our guide. That guy worked harder than the Boy Scouts, right?
Yeah.
And he was just awesome. He was, you know, a small statured man, but man, he was hardworking and the nicest guy, you know, nicest guy, yeah.
He did a great job as a docent for the tours of the old school house. When I went my way at the classes through there, she's amazed at how much control he had over the kids. You know, they paid attention with Lee.
Yeah.
I recorded him
Yeah.
doing his last one.
He was very good at Cornell.
It's on that video.
Okay, so I got the motion wrong. It was trustee O'Connor, trustee Kritzmeyer. Did I get it right?
That's what I heard.
Okay, moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee Kritzmeyer. Sorry.
Okay, trustee Borowski,
Yes.
trustee Kritzmeyer.
Yes.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Yes.
Trustee Micho,
Yes.
and trustee O'Connor.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thanks for a great recommendation, too. Okay, so, moving right along, we have consideration of resolution approving, wait a second, is that right, the whistleblower policy? Yes. It is, okay. Vic, you want to help me introduce this one?
Sure. Mr. President, members of the board, the state of Illinois, when they did the Police Reform Act, included an amendment to the Public Officers Prohibited Activities Act, which included a somewhat modified whistleblower provision. There's already an Illinois Whistleblowers Act that fully covers the issues, but there were some procedural matters that the amendment related to, particularly with the identification of an auditing official. And you may recall, I would say about a year ago, we did the harassment policy, or the anti-harassment policy, and with that, we have a procedure for processing these types of things. It seemed very natural just to use that process for the whistleblower process, but the Lake County State's Attorney was sending out letters to all the municipalities asking, well, who's your auditing official? And what we thought could be done more or less operationally seems to be needing a more formal approach, because the act also says that if you don't appoint someone, the state's attorney will be your auditing official. And I think that at least we'd want to have our first opportunity to handle it in-house rather than have it go to the state's attorney's office. So with that in mind, what we have prepared for you is a resolution to approve this policy. You'll notice that the policy is really the procedures that are largely reflective of what we have in our anti-harassment policy. There's a few extra bells and whistles, sorry for the pun, regarding some of the particulars of this recent amendment. So it's really not changing much of anything other than clearly enveloping the whistleblower provision into our existing procedures for handling grievances. And by doing this, we make sure that this can be handled in-house. We always have the ability to farm it out to the state's attorney if we so choose, but it would not be something that they would be able to automatically step in to do.
Who's our auditing official to be?
We have put it as, just as in our anti-harassment policy, the village president and village manager.
Who gets trained?
Well, so if I understand correctly, one of the notes I wrote down here is that Greg needs to establish a written audit process. And he needs to explain to the employees every year what that is, right?
It's really a matter of, I'm sorry for interrupting, it's really a matter of just having them receive and sign that they have received and read the policy, which is attached to the resolution.
But it says in the resolution, he has to establish a written audit process.
Yes, this is what you're approving.
Okay, that is the audit process?
Yeah, right.
Okay, but,
It gives him the authority to embellish it as need be.
okay, got it. And then every year he has to give them a copy of this, okay, and plus the process, okay. That's what I read.
Every year, we should put that on the calendar now, then?
The calendar,
Well, yeah,
It needs to be there.
affirm that we refreshed, reacquainted ourselves.
Make it concurrent with the sexual harassment policy.
Yeah.
yeah, there was language in here too.
So you've received this, read it, and you're still adhering to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's language in here too that dealt with if the offense is with him, then it comes to me or something like that, if I recall correctly.
And again, that's the same procedure we have in the anti-harassment policy. We're not inventing new wheels here.
So the punishment in here for trustees is kind of an interesting one. So, 500 or not more than 5,000, suspension without pay, well, that's easy. Demotion, that's easy. Discharge, civil or criminal prosecution, I'm not sure how those apply to us actually, which obviously need to be included in this and covered by it, because obviously we don't want to be bad people. But how does that work for like us? How do you demote me or discharge me?
Actually, you're not covered.
Okay, so we're not.
No, the village, let me give you two examples. One would be, if you look at the definition of employee, it includes appointed members of boards and commissions, not elected. And, you know, if someone, like Kent, for example, though he is appointed by Bill, it was actually an election of the board to make him the new trustee. So he's an elected official under the policy and under Illinois law. So if, say, the chairman of our doodad commission, which we haven't yet established, take some kind of action that would be a negative employment repercussion for one of our staff members, that could be a triggering event for a whistleblowing claim, and that would be then investigated by Greg. On the other hand, if it were a trustee, that would not be a claim against the trustee, it's really a claim against the village. And again, that would come to Greg. If someone were to say that Greg did it, then it would go to Bill. I mean, so that's how it works out, but there's no penalty that would affect any of the elected officials. And the remedies are really remedies that would be inuring to the benefit of the affected employee, the one who was retaliated against.
I see, okay.
Other questions? Jenny, any questions? Since you're remote?
Seems pretty straightforward, and I would make a motion to approve.
Okay, moved by trustee Michaud,
Second.
seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Michaud?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
Trustee Christmeyer? Aye. Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
All right, motion carried, thank you. So there's some confusion on this one too, and I'm glad that the village manager report went out because,
May I ask where that went?
what,
I didn't find it.
It showed up on in email this morning.
Oh, I didn't.
yeah, so I think what it was, I realized then on Saturday morning that there wasn't a manager's report, and, you know, Greg's really done a great job just being here a few days, and I said, I think you need to put one together. By the time I got together, it was this morning, right, and it went out. So,
Okay, okay.
so he'll have, I'm sure you'll have one for the next meeting,
Well,
right?
No,
Yeah.
I have it printed out if you need it.
This is it. If you wanna,
So what happened was, and I'll just explain, because you had two resolutions, you got a new one, right? And I know Ann and I spoke on Friday night, actually. But this thing is to change the signatories, and then also there is to appoint, designate Greg Jackson as the village treasurer. But what I had done was that the way the signatories were set up, it was different than the way we have it now. So I asked them to put it back the way it was, where it requires an elected official, and it requires either Greg or Denise now, right? They can sign, but it has to be those two, combination of that. And on it, signatories were Bobby, Ann, and me, and I just wanted it to be left the same. And so they put it back the way it was, and that's the change in the resolution you got from Friday to the one that you got, whatever it was, Monday or something, right? Or Sunday, whenever it came out. Sunday, yeah. So then there's a second aspect of it of, you know, designating somebody as the village treasurer. I guess Dave was the de facto treasurer in the past?
I think he may have been official, but we couldn't find the actual motion that happened. This happened back in, I want to say, 2008. And when the former village treasurer left the village, the village board decision at that time was not to hire somebody new, but rather have those responsibilities devolve on Dave. And so I think there was a formal appointment, but we didn't have time to do all the research on that in any event. He served in that position, but now we should have somebody formally done since Dave certainly isn't in it any longer.
Technically, what does a treasurer do that a signatory doesn't?
There are some reports that are by statute to be issued by the treasurer, including, not surprisingly, the treasurer's report. Now, there has been a treasurer's report issued every year, and, you know, Dave had done that, consistent with what the statute provides. And right now, in the absence of a treasurer, we don't have anyone who is formally designated to do that. So it's really, at this point, a formality. You know, there are still a lot of provisions that are in the municipal code that we have to abide by that don't necessarily require anybody with a separate special position as treasurer. Obviously, in bigger communities, they may have a finance director / treasurer. We don't do that. We've got many of our officials or many of our employees who are doubling up.
And it can't be you or me, you have signatories, because.
Well, see, I thought it was you.
Well,
I thought you did.
Well, so that's funny that you should say that.
I sort of thought it would be, I actually just sort of thought if we're gonna make a change, I should have had a heads up, or at least a, hey, just by the way.
I didn't know it.
Check every month.
I didn't know it either. I didn't really, it was there on the agenda. I read it from my phone. So sorry, we talked on Friday night.
I was more looking for a heads up, you know, so that was all, more of that. Apparently, according to that, we can only have one job at a time, and this is not, and that's not it.
But we could theoretically go without.
We would have to have
Because
some.
we've gone without.
Well,
In practical terms, I've been doing the numbering.
Yeah, I think that
Well, yes.
the work has been getting done, and I believe that Dave has served as the treasurer. And when documents have come in from the state requiring the treasurer to sign off, I believe Dave had done those sign-offs.
But if somebody came in 2 years ago and asked for your certificate of being treasurer, we didn't have that.
Well, I think that there may have been a motion back in 2000.
Well, whatever, but you couldn't prove it.
My guess is that maybe it could be proven. I don't know.
I have no problem with it.
It was one of those things that it wasn't worth the effort to find out.
Well, she did too, by the way, on Friday night. She's calling me, what did you do? I didn't do anything. But, you know, I want to, Greg, pick up the phone. At what time was it? I was still working. It was like 7:30.
I sent him a text and said, don't call, this weekend, because it was the most beautiful Friday night. I wasn't trying
Well,
to.
we went out late. I didn't go out till like 9 o'clock, just so you know. But anyway, so I worked pretty late, so. But thank you for picking up the call too and addressing it. So.
Absolutely, no problem.
All right, so does somebody want to make a motion or do you want to talk about it more?
So moved.
Moved by trustee O'Connor.
Second.
That was a tie, so
I win.
trustee O'Reilly, second by trustee O'Reilly.
She's fired. Trustee Grassi. My right-handed.
There's no extra pay, sorry.
Trustee Kusma. Aye. Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Micho.
Aye.
And trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Congratulations on being our new treasurer.
Thank you very much.
Be careful. We can call you Mr. T.
All right, so, at the last board meeting, we approved the base bid for the parking lot, Stemple. We also approved the addition of taking the planting stations out where the trees are and making that parking spaces. A couple conversations have ensued since then. One of them was about how important it is to have charging stations in that lot. It'll help bring people in, maybe back to your comments about young people, I don't know. And then there was another discussion that ensued about, we really should make the parking lot two-way, one-way coming in from Old McHenry by the Chatterbox, and then by the Cigars and More, making it two-way. So,
Did you just say one way on Chatterbox?
no, two-way there too.
You did.
He did say one way.
He did.
Oh, did I? So I said it wrong. Okay, thank you for correcting me, but making that two-way, because it's one way today.
One entrance being that.
Yeah. Yeah, making it a two-way entrance and making it two-way on Robert Parker Coffin Road.
Where are they gonna get the land for that?
Yeah, that
What,
was.
so hold that thought for a second. Just the Old McHenry, entry and exit would require just some reshaping of the parking. I know Jeff can pipe in here at any point in time, but it wouldn't be straight-in parking, it would have to be parallel parking on one side. But there's enough space there,
Until you get past Brothers Field.
until you get past Brothers Field there, right? Greg's already done some work, because by Cigars and More, we need an easement, right? So you,
I spoke with Julie Newman, reached out to her. She was at a trade show in Las Vegas and was kind enough to take my call. We discussed first of all, their comfort level as being right there with a two-way in and out. And they, I believe it's Ryan Messner, had some conversation with her, so they knew what to expect, that this was a potential of happening. She was in favor of it. She said, there are some questions I have as to my existing parking as well as access to her dumpster. I assured her that I would have conversations with Jeff, and I have had conversations with Jeff, and Jeff believes that this is a minor adjustment we can make that will accommodate the business as well as show good faith and allow us to gain that easement. So Jeff and I are both meeting with Julie and her husband on Thursday in the afternoon, just to make sure that the details that are laid out are clear to both of us, so that we can make sure we properly communicate the approach back to the board. So that'll be our next meeting.
Is that Jeff, is that the telephone pole that got moved when we did Robert Parker Coffin?
hey, Jeff, can you answer that?
Or, I'm still picturing.
No, I think that's in front of, that's in front of Ryan's place, I think.
That's the next driveway.
Yeah.
Okay.
To the east.
Where we moved
Where
it.
Ryan-
Yeah, it's a wide,
Okay.
yeah.
Forge,
Scott Forge.
Scott Forge, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the,
Okay, I thought there was one closer.
That's the one
But-
right there.
So how is it,
yeah.
have we checked with the property owners across from Chatterbox, where right now that a lot more vehicles can be accommodated parking at a 90-degree as opposed to turning that into parallel parking? You lose 6?
And they gain 147.
Well,
Or 47 or something like that.
I understand
Well,
what
no,
you're
I mean, they
saying,
get a whole parking lot.
but I'm talking about the property owners immediately at that parking, the current
Well,
parking.
first off, I can tell you, Mike Oken's 100% behind this, right? So,
He's not a property owner on the other side.
oh, on the other side, you mean Jesse?
On the
Jesse's,
south side, yeah.
Jesse's the only one on the other side, so.
Hi, Bill, if I may chime in.
Yeah, please.
We're talking about a reduction of 6 parking spots. Right now, there's 12, what I would call head-in parking stalls in front of Jesse's building, if you will. And with the parallel spots, you can get 6. So just to put that in context for the discussion.
Thank you. Have we talked to him? He's okay with it?
You know, I haven't talked specifically with Jesse, but I know that they've all been talking together.
They've been talking for a long time.
All of them have. They want this. They want it two ways,
okay.
so I know
All
that.
right.
But I didn't specifically have a
I
conversation.
mean, everybody does it anyway.
Well, yeah, Field Day too.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And Julie Newman has been talking about that for a couple of years, about
Okay.
getting that two-way.
Okay.
So everybody kind of wants it, but nobody moves it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad to see the conduit. I really do think that's an important thing, and there's a lot of options once we get the conduit in there also. We don't have to make that decision, but if we can just do it before the asphalt goes in, then we can
Yeah.
examine choices later.
As it turned out, Jenny and I attended the same webinar that ICSC put on in International Council of Shopping Centers. And it turned out to be an hour commercial for the company that manufactures and installs charging stations that are the size of parking meters. You know, they fit like right on the yellow line, which surprised me. But along the way, in the 1 hour seminar, they had some incredible research, credible and incredible research regarding the shopping that takes place when people wait for the charger to do their thing. You know, for an economic standpoint, that doesn't sound bad at all. And we don't have to pay for the whole thing. A lot of places have cost sharing with the cars. So, and after talking to Jeff, with what we would have to tear up to put this in after the fact, it's just, I think Jenny, I think we're on the same page where it just makes sense to do it.
She explained it, she can speak, she explained it to EDC this morning.
Jenny, can you speak?
Yeah, I can speak. Yeah, I'm just going to echo what Rita said. There are, Blink was the one company that we heard from, but there's lots of companies out there. And I've kind of tasked the EDC with doing a little research. There's different tiers. We can own stations. We can actually just provide the conduit and they bring anything in and we can call, we get the electricity cost. But this is a conversation for another time with more information, but I would hope that we would move forward with laying the conduit.
So process-wise, right, if we were going to do this, right, we have, we would have this next item on the agenda, so this would be a resolution amending the prior bid approval, waiving competitive bidding for certain additional related work, and awarding a contract for improvements to Stemple Lot, right?
Can we do that?
Yeah, do we have the money for this?
I'm concerned about process and whether it disregard what the subject is. We left here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago with a vote. That, to me, that vote was sacred. It's over. End of discussion. This was what we decided. So, procedurally, in my mind, in order to reconsider that, we need to vote to reconsider it. You can't just because you or you or you, oh, well, we should really do this, change what we did. We turned down the conduit. We didn't even discuss, so I consider it different, the two-way traffic. That's different. But the conduit, we turned it down. So if we're going to do votes that are maybe good for 2 weeks from now or 6 months from now, I think we have to stick with what the rules are.
part of the rules are that we have a resolution, this is the first time we've seen the resolution to actually do all that.
Okay, so the vote was maybe. So the vote 3 weeks ago was maybe?
Let me explain that vote and the matter before you tonight. The vote that you had 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever our last meeting was to approve the base bid and I believe it was one alternate. That was approved. That is part of this particular motion. Now, the resolution before you would have been a change order to that contract, except that we hadn't yet signed the contract.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and so what this is doing,
So theoretically, we could approve something tonight, and if you guys decide, we're not gonna sign it this week, maybe next week, or maybe 3 weeks from now, we can change our minds again.
well, let me point out that if you don't approve this, we still have the contract that was approved at the last meeting. That's still there. This is, and it would have been the change order had it already been signed. It hadn't been, and so it's the change order. And then the second element of it, the 2 driveways, were not even in the bidding documents. And so that is a matter presented to you as a
Just new information.
completely new and unbid. Rather, it is based on the unit prices in the bids that we got, but an element of the bid that was not included. So that is a waiver of competitive bids, and that requires the 2/3 vote of the trustees.
I understand.
Okay.
But we turned down the contract.
Right, and you can again.
Why is it back again? How many times do you have to do it to kill it?
Well, we can do change orders on any contract until it's done.
Or we can have a vote to reconsider.
Well, the vote to reconsider, procedurally can't be done because it's not in the same meeting. But because it hasn't been signed, you can vote to not do the work. I mean, that's something that's an option too. That's not on the agenda tonight.
But theoretically, if I understand you correctly, if we don't approve this, it does die.
If you don't approve the resolution tonight, then the contract is only for the base bid and that one alternate.
Got it.
Right.
All right, well, let's just, how does everyone, obviously, I mean, Bobby, how would you like to proceed? Actually, let me ask you.
Well, I don't want to kill it, but I hate little technicalities that kind of pollute the system. But because I think that this is important, and I don't want to see it, I feel strongly about the 2 ways in and out, both sides. I will drop my issue and just vote on it again.
Okay,
Can I ask another
sure.
clarifying question about the two-wayness? And Jeff, you probably know the answer to this. Once it becomes two-way traffic, is it still safe for pedestrians on that stretch? Not necessarily the one at Newman's, but Chatterbox gets a lot of traffic and a lot of pedestrians. Is there enough room for that?
And that's exactly the driver of the cost for the one next to the Chatterbox. We have to widen the entrance at Old McHenry Road to make it safe, and the infrastructure, the sidewalk crossing is still there, which would remain if the entrance is widened.
But what about beyond the entrance, when, if cars are passing, one in front of the dance studio and one in front of Chatterbox, is there enough room for the people that have been drinking and eating and laughing and having a good time? Do you understand what I'm saying? And baby strollers and all that.
Do you want to pass? What is it?
I'm just wondering, but no.
I have an opinion. I think it'll be safer, but
I have an opinion, it might be safer.
Be safer.
Then at least you know what you're getting, versus
Yeah.
if you think people are only entering, You're not as attentive to people exiting.
That's
If you
true.
know it's two-way, you might be more attentive as a pedestrian. It's only a guess.
Yeah, it's just I can see people, because I do now, you know, you see them kind of exiting from Chatterbox and jibber jabbering or watching the, you know, the cell phone and.
But they also think they have to watch from one way.
Okay,
So there's,
okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's only an opinion, but knowing what that they should be looking for, might help.
Yeah, it's just not as clear, it's all roadway there. It's not clear that it's curves and sidewalks.
How many times have you gone in there where somebody's like sitting there at a, you know, impasse? Somebody's trying to exit there.
I'm picturing in front of Chatterbox. I'm not.
no, you're just trying to say coming the wrong way.
And people still going the wrong way and creating a cluster, whether it's in front of Jesse or the Chatterbox or the ice cream, it's still a mess.
Oh, I understand.
And you could be coming the proper direction and they're still not paying attention to
Okay,
you.
all right, okay.
You just have to be careful if you're a driver, unless you want to hit a pedestrian, you might want to be careful as a walker.
I mean, I think it's at one of the meetings, I think I said I had to wave a Kildare cop out, because I was trying to get in, he was going the wrong way, so.
There you go.
So I said, I'm like waving him like this.
Just a question.
That's
Yeah.
the flyer, that's the flyer, right?
Yes.
Chris?
Thank you, appreciate it. I support Bobby O'Reilly's first half of her comments, because I think it's a very valid question. Building on that, we started out as, let's fix our parking lot. Then we went to, let's fix the entire parking lot. Then we went to, lighting, and then we went to conduit. I mean, the entire intent of this was to fix the parking lot, and now we've digressed. And my second frustration is, why are we talking about widening the entrances this late in the game? Did we not have anybody who looked at it and said, you know, 3 months ago, or whatever it was when we started this dialogue, if we're gonna do a comprehensive overhaul of that driveway, why didn't we have that conversation before? And took a look at the entirety of the money that's involved. So I'm a little bit frustrated that we're doing this now instead of before, when we pay, sorry Jeff, we pay professionals to do this analysis, and here we are going, well, maybe we should add this now. So I'm a little bit frustrated by all that, but I'll table that for the time being. We, as a village, can't figure out a way to make money on our water system, right? We're in the hole on our water system. So as a utility provider, we've got a good track record of not being profitable. So why do we want to become a utility provider for electricity as well? It's really bothersome to me. If there's companies out there who think this is a great idea, who make parking meters that are charging stations, let's privatize it. Let's see if there is a business model that will sustain X number of cars at whatever electricity rates they are, so that we, the village, is not a utility provider. Put that on the table. Let's talk about that. Let's have a dialogue. Show us the numbers. But to me, if I have $15,000 and I've got nothing to do with it besides bury it in conduit, I'd rather take that money, put it in a little kitty pot, and put it towards putting in a public restroom somewhere downtown. Right? We had that dialogue a year ago where we're trying to make a public-private restroom thing. To me, that is so much more important. If I'm a resident on the north side of Long Grove and I come downtown, I really would like to have a bio break as opposed to plugging my car in. And that's what we are. We're the trustees of the village residents' money. And to me, we're never going to get that money back by putting in conduit and power stations unless we've got a business plan to recoup that revenue that we can effectively implement, which we're finding out with the water system, we can't do that. So I mean, I don't know. I just don't think we really need to do this right now. That parking lot's gonna be tore up in another 15 years, we're gonna have to redo it anyway. And by that time, maybe we'll have enough facts and know enough about electric vehicles to see if it makes any sense or not, or maybe vet a provider who can come in here and privatize the dang thing and make it make sense. So anyway, thank you.
No, thanks for that.
Well, you can, the chargers can be leased, you don't have to own them.
So,
The point is not tearing up the parking lot and probably realistically 2 or 3 years, I would think, the majority of vehicles are gonna be electric. It brings business in.
Detroit's not shipping anything till the middle of 2023. parts for cars right now, right? So,
I know.
and the electronics industry is building those really well, is hosed up for the next couple of years, so I don't know if that data is correct. But even so, you know, I want to be a utility provider, I really don't. And if there's a business model here that makes sense, hey, put it on the table, somebody go research it. But I don't see that here.
Procedure notwithstanding, and I understand and respect your views on that, and I don't know on the procedure of how things are coming back. I very much disagree with you. This is not about being a utility. After our last meeting, I got in an airplane and I took a picture, and there I was. I mean, their job is to get me from A to B, okay? But they also put a USB thing in there. There are entertainment options. There's a magazine. None of those have to do with transportation. They have to do with changing what the baseline of amenities are. And I think that's what this is. You're totally right. I agree on, we do not have a good track record on water. We do not have to make the decision on whether we run a utility or whether we privatize it and what the best private provider might be, because apparently there are many and there could be a number of configurations. All this does is give us the option of not having to tear up asphalt later.
Understood.
And that's why I'm in favor of it. I completely agree, we don't know enough to go forward from there on any of the conduit, but I very much think this is what we need going forward for future, just like we need handicap spots too, just like we need other things around it.
Handicap's different.
It's still
It's very
accommodating.
different. It's mandated, right? We're doing that parking lot, we gotta put those spaces in.
It is mandated, it's also accommodating a variety of people, a variety of customers, and it's also accommodating folks who will then be able to stay in our village and feel more comfortable. By the way, they've been hooking in anyway and getting very frustrated by doing, they have, because the existing light poles have just regular 3-prong sockets.
So in this case, why can't we work a deal with the other property owners in that lot and have them maybe put the stations in on their property and make it a profit
This is
center?
why we didn't talk about the features, because we talked so much about who owns what, and we
Yeah,
didn't talk at all about the features of the lot.
I'm not arguing that point, I agree with you. I just think about 15 grand, I'd rather put it into a bucket for a public restroom. Something that's more useful.
I don't think the
Restroom would cost
more.
more than 15.
I understand that, but you gotta start somewhere.
Well, we
Instead
had
of burying the
somebody
pipe in the
that
ground.
paid for it, remember?
Yep.
And that's why I was
Missy.
thinking, like, maybe, the talk had been that public restroom could go right at when you enter the lot from the, traffic path, past Chatter, that would be a perfect place for the restrooms to be, and someone will pay for them, but we probably would have to put plumbing.
Yeah, I think that would just add a whole other, so first off, the public restroom thing, it's something we still gotta look at. I don't think that should be a part of this project right now. That would totally derail this
Oh,
whole
I
thing.
agree, I did.
But I do think we need to look at that, and I know Misty said something right, so right, I was there. But I have, okay, so
Okay.
we are back in person again. People are getting swatted. All right, Jenny, did you speak? Did you speak your mind?
Yeah, I think I feel pretty strongly that I believe that we should be forward thinking. I think that the seminar we went to, and from other conversations I've had with my brother who's in the field of car selling, many companies are moving to full electric, and I think there's going to be a real need for these. And yeah, I don't want to be a gas station. I want to be I understand your concerns, Chris, but I also think this is where we're headed, and having an option and keeping a customer here to charge their station is good for downtown business. And it also just, a lot of communities are doing it. I think it's the way things are moving, and we're ripping it up. This is a good time to put it in. I think, yes, it is a fair amount of money, and I do like the thought of public restrooms, but I think today this is what we're talking about, and I think having it installed now is a smart move.
Rita?
I intellectually understand both sides of the discussion.
I do too. So that's why it's a tough one, right?
Well, and I know Jeff and I talked this afternoon and ran some theoretical numbers with, if we don't do it now and we have to rip up the parking lot, how much ripping up is that? And the response was, it's a considerable amount of ripping up, it's not just at that spot. Okay, and you know more about it than I do, I'm not a contractor. And we only know today's prices. Some of the items, if I understood you correctly, Jeff, are difficult to get today because of the issues with the supply chain. So it's kind of a do or die sort of thing. You know, I said a month or so ago when we were talking about the parking lot that it's pretty valuable real estate. Why are we putting in a 20-year lot? Let's put in a 10-year lot because maybe we're gonna tear it up and we're gonna put a, you know, parking garage and or more retail in there. Okay. Who knows? I don't know. We didn't go that route. We're going the 20-year route. Okay, so I do very much so think that I was told when I bought my car 2 years ago, it was the last gas-fired vehicle I was gonna own. And it's probably accurate. That's the way the world is going. It brings people into the village. They got fuel up somewhere. Towners isn't gonna be in this anymore after a while, when all the gasoline cars die. So, long story short, I lean more towards, let's put the conduit in, we've got nothing to lose. If we were putting charging stations in now, I would have a problem with it because you can't update those the way you update a Tesla, which is, you know, via an app. You gotta manually update them, right? And it's gonna keep changing. But I think it's important that, it's just like if you rip it up, put in fiber optic at the same time. You may not need it today, but if you got the conduit in there, do it. So I lean more toward that than not.
Okay, does anyone feel brave enough to make a motion?
I want to make a couple of comments.
Okay.
One to Chris is, if you can name one piece of government that's profitable.
That's kind of a that's a backward argument.
It makes it the point. Government doesn't do profit at all. And the other reason why I tend to fall on the side of doing this is with our federal government and their orgy of spending. There's going to be a lot of money on the table for electric cars. And so we may be behind if we don't get out in front of it. And lastly, I have 2 children. They have 3 Teslas. So that's where it's going.
They're of driving age though, right?
My children? Marty?
Just kidding.
You know, another point that I didn't remember was the.
No, it was supposed to be funny, you're such a young lady, you know, I mean.
Yeah, you're right.
Another point they made during the seminar was that, to your point, that people are not going to expect that it's free. You know, with the Tesla stuff, it's free, but you pay enough for a Tesla, that's part of the deal. But that they feel that the norm is going to be that it's at worst break even with these in public parking lots over the next few years.
You guys don't need to talk me into it, you gotta go forward, so move forward.
I would move we modify the contract award that we approved 3 weeks ago to include one additional bid alternate, the conduit for EV charging stations, and improved parking lot entrances that were not included in the original bid, subject to the conversation that Village Manager Jackson is going to have on the easement. So just making sure that little stuff is tied up. So I would make that motion.
Okay, so moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, seconded by trustee O'Reilly. Roll call, please.
Trustee O'Connor? Aye. Trustee Misha?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Chris Meyer.
Aye.
Trustee Borowski.
No, thank you.
Okay, do I need to vote?
No, we have the
Okay, we got the
two-thirds of the
two-thirds.
trustees.
Okay, motion carried.
I want to take just one more opportunity to speak, and that is, I have a great hope that between our new village manager and our new operations director, that we are not going to fall into another trap where we are making decisions at the last minute. That we know a word called planning and foresight. And I think I'm seeing that possibility. So, to you too.
That's not just that's a request, a demand, and our request.
That's my hope. Because we've been burned more than a few times. And
We need to make a similar, motion to, waive the competitive bidding procedure.
That was, I understood that to be part of your approval. It was approving that resolution with the caveat for the easement.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna move us on to the next,
Item 14.
item 14. So I believe the recommendation right now is to table this one, because first I found all the details in this thing, where when I read the resolution on Saturday, right? But, move to table it. Yeah, but I think there's one element of this, and this is where, I wanted us to talk about, is we don't have any code maintenance contract in place, and the way this contract was written, it ties the two together, correct? We can't.
I thought there were two.
There were two separate contracts, two separate intergovernmental agreements, but, so.
We had originally retained Mundaline to do the building department stuff. In February, we got a proposal from them to also do the code enforcement, that's your maintenance type of stuff. You all approved that. Mundaline said, oh, we'll prepare an agreement, and up until, I think, about 8 days ago, we never got anything. So that just hit the books 8 days ago, and it's under review. It's got some quirks in it, and we haven't had a chance to get any response back to Mundaline, but that has been approved by you all, and if the contract can be worked out consistent with your original resolution, that won't come back to you, will just be signed. If it can't be, then it'll come back to you, and you can react to their agreement. The third phase, and you may recall, that was intentionally separate from the building department stuff.
Yes. It was.
Okay, so that was part of the thing, right? And then the third one is the interim planning services, which is the item 14 before you today. There's, again, quirks in the document that we got from Mundaline. And I don't think, because we don't have a plan commission meeting in July, and there will be ways to keep the ball moving of anything that might be ready for the August agenda. I understand that the recommendation is to kick this to the next meeting, see if we can iron out some of the quirks and not be overly wrought by that.
What happens if we had this record-breaking June in terms of building permits, and permits need to be reviewed for zoning adherence and setbacks and things like that? What is that? Wasn't that part of what Jim was doing?
Yes.
So how will that occur then?
Well, what I'm hoping to do is have a conversation with the village manager or village administrator in Mundaline. Our concern is the $10,000 that they want per month. After conversations with Jim and some conversations with Mundaline, it also gives us the option of the $70 per hour, so we can just engage when we need to engage. However, Mundaline had asked that we not look at that because it's an inconvenience for them in regards to maintaining time records. All due respect to my colleague in Mundaline, I don't care. All due respect, $70 an hour if I only need 5 hours worth of assistance in the course of a period of time is certainly more valuable to us than just making sure that they're out there. And I believe because of the work we do together on a regular basis, I can, get that acquiescence.
Or just a way lower minimum retainer.
Yeah, and, to another point I'd like to bring up is that, we started getting a couple attractive resumes. One of them in particular that I touched base with, President Jacob yesterday on, that, I'm trying to get a feel after I do some comparison to the job description, and Jim's taking a look at it. I've asked him to take a look at it, and he did, and felt this particular one candidate was attractive. I hate to be locked into any time or any billing rate if we've got something on the horizon, or if we can turn around and knock that rate down. I just believe it's an effort on our part that we have to put forward. I believe we can find resources to meet needs in the interim. But during this 2-week period, before it comes back to the board, I think we'd be able to manage it. We'll find a way.
Everyone okay with tabling it?
Yes, it's done.
I highly recommend we do that, because also 6 months minimum too.
I have a bunch of questions.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I haven't had a chance to do it, so I'm not ready to take action for it.
Okay, we're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. Our code enforcement is approved, though. We're correct, Vic?
The board approved it,
We're just waiting for
and
the
we're trying to get the agreement consistent with the terms that the board approved.
Okay. Okay, so we have the code, that's not an issue. Okay. All right, let's move on. The next one is consideration resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Long Grove and Eula Township for, multiple public works services, right? So, because they discontinued the highway department, they wanted to have a new agreement, because I believe our agreement was with the highway department, right? We went back and forth. Matter of fact, I think Bobby was the one that alerted us to the fact that they were trying to, get a new agreement to us, right? So we have an agreement before us. It's been reviewed, and the recommendation is to approve it. We need the services.
Is this the one where there's an automatic, 3%? Yeah, every year. What's the deal with that? Why? And it's the 30 days notice, they can increase it by 3%. I think that's what I read there. I don't know.
It's annual. I thought it was confusing, though, that the rates are shown are the same as 2018, yet there is the option to increase. Have they not exercised that option for the past 3 years? Is that?
I can't answer that.
Would that be how you read the words?
Yeah, I read it that there's a 3% increase annually, and I'm sorry? Automatically, right? Yes, and I believe that's, if I had to venture on how we would present something, or I would recommend to present something, it would be a CPI adjustment or an inflation adjustment, something along
That'll
those
be bigger
lines.
this year.
Yeah, right, we may not want to do that one.
Yeah,
CPI is already 5%.
but I'm sure it's gonna be something to impact not only operating costs, but payroll, part of that being the payroll expense.
I don't see that in here though in front of me. Did you take some things out of here today or put some documents in the packet?
Denise, I think the only thing we put in was the bills came in at the 11th hour.
Oh, I didn't see it, no.
It came in.
What I said down here.
Yeah, it came in like 20 minutes or half an hour before we started the meeting.
If you look at page 12 of 12 on what's in the Dropbox,
Resolution, that's why I don't see it, I think.
yeah, if you go all the way down 12 of that item, you'll see the labor rates, and that's the starting rate. And then the very last line is that they are subject to a 3% increase every year on April 1st.
Okay, that's what I remember seeing.
The confusing part was the sub-rate.
Are you in number 15? That's where I am. Eula Township Resolution 16. That's EDC agenda on my screen.
Me too. I went in and changed the numbers because there were some changes over the weekend,
Oh,
so I wasn't here.
You're
Today, so I wanted to.
I know I'm not crazy.
Still,
I'm
you're not,
on
you're
this
not.
one, on this
Yeah,
one.
so.
Okay, so it's under 15 now, you think? Intergovernmental?
Yeah, it's under 15.
Yeah, there you go.
It's up on my
Keep
screen.
going. It's under 15 at the agenda, but well, okay. Anyway.
Yeah, oh, I got it.
And
Got it.
as to the comment, same rates as established in 2018, that was in the original draft that we got from the township, and I think they were simply saying the starting rate has not changed.
Okay.
But the rates as are set forth is what they will be once we sign this, the 56 and 84 with the 112 for holidays. And then the 3% increase will be on the April 1st anniversaries.
What do we have before, do you know?
According to what they communicated to us, those are the rates that we have now, the 56
But
and 80.
do we have the automatic 3% increase?
I don't recall offhand.
Because what was
Yeah,
it,
just upon 30 days written notice.
do you have access to the old agreement?
Labor up to 3%.
Because isn't that, aren't we following the same agreement?
They rewrote the agreement. We then tried to make it hang together, but we didn't change any of the material terms in doing that. So this is what they presented to us for purposes of offering the services.
Can anyone Google or to our shared drive and see what it is? Because I think that's an important point. If it's the same, is that an issue, right?
Yeah, now, keep in mind, if you look at section 4, which is page,
That's what I'm looking at.
okay, if you, I don't know what page that is on the,
It's not numbered.
but section 4,
5 of 12.
when you look at that, what it says is that if you look at the last sentence on the last page of this, what I just lost it, sorry.
It's on page 6 now, the top of page 6.
Yeah, so what about,
It says it's subject to an increase, but the section 4 tells us how that is effected. So it's not an automatic 3%, it's an automatic 3% if they exercise the rights in section 4.
Section 4 says upon 30 days' notice, it may increase its equipment and labor costs up to 30% annually.
3%.
3% during the term of this. So it's 30
Right, but
days.
it's not effective until April 1st. So if they wanted to increase the rates as of April 1st, they have to notify us by
I understand.
March
Okay,
second.
that option.
So, you know, I guess if you want to come full circle, we're still at the rates of 2018, and we may still continue at that rate unless they exercise this 30-day notice, and then it will be changing on April 1st.
I can find something of 2016, and it says labor rate subject to 2.5% increase each year.
yeah, is it 2016 resolution?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Well, they've changed considerably since the last year, because with the last election, they did away with the road supervision.
Right, I mean, up until then, they've been a good partner.
Mhm.
They've been very responsive. The one thing we had to do at some point was some of the festivals, other people were ordering.
That wasn't their fault, yeah.
They were ordering work and we were paying for it, so we had to stop that, so it only came through the village authorization. But they've been very responsive in a lot of ways that way.
They're kind of the only game.
Right now, they're the only game, yeah, so, I mean, it's
This or nothing.
I would move we accept this.
Second.
Okay, so it was moved by trustee Chris Meyer, seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Trustee Chris, I'm not even, Trustee Misha,
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Okay, motion carried.
Making noise.
I have no report, but let's just let's see, EDC report, trustee Micho, do you have one?
I do a brief one. One of the things we're working on an agenda for a joint meeting with the Plan Commission and the board. So at some point, we'd like to get that scheduled. We thought maybe September. And then we're excited to have Greg join us at the next EDC meeting, which we have now moved the EDC meetings to the first Thursday of the month at 7 a.m. So we'll have one meeting a month and a second one if needed. So August 5th will be our next meeting. And then Anne and I are working on, mostly Anne, thank you, Anne, putting together a survey to use the software that we have to kind of poll the community about a couple issues, but we'll have more on that at the next meeting. So, and then also just to follow up, we're going to do a little bit of research on electric charging stations to have some more information if we choose to move forward with that down in the future. So, end of report, unless people have questions.
May I suggest that a joint meeting between those three groups be on a day that is not a board meeting, that is not a other meeting, that it be a special day for that meeting? That makes sense.
Good idea, yeah, I agree. So a workshop.
I think that's a great idea, Bobby.
What, a workshop, no action, just a workshop.
I got a reaction out of Bobby, of course.
So does this mean we're not doing any polling until the EDC gets
No,
their act together?
no, it means that they have interest in a particular topic about housing, and so that particular one should.
Thank you.
Okay. So, who else has a report? The building? Yeah.
I'd like to let everybody know that we've talked about having training for people burning. And I finally got the Long Grove Fire. We're talking, they've committed 2 people to teach a class, physically teach a class. And we'll establish a date probably in August or September to have a meeting for the community to come and learn how to, as safely as possible, do a burn.
Would they do a follow-up demonstration next spring to show people?
Oh, well, you know what, that might work because we need to burn here.
Okay.
That could be a good thing to do. Maybe, hopefully not burn the building down, or the schoolhouse, or the barn. But because. I just wanted to let you know that somebody has finally agreed to do a class.
That's great.
Thanks for driving it.
Keep our residents from burning their houses down.
Well, that was what precipitated it. That's all I got.
Thank you,
All
Bobby.
right. You say thank you? Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that's great. Thanks, Bobby, for making that happen.
All right, we have the building report on here too. I guess it's a record, June was a record, almost a record month, right? So, I don't know if there's any, anyone have any comments on it?
I have a question, and maybe the next meeting. I know Marguerite's been working on, a lot more automated and kind of online permitting for some of the streamlines, just replacement kind of thing. Could we get, a quick write-up on that, or just share, a quick memo on like what's going on and how has it gone? Or where is she, or where are you all in the, let's call it a prototype or pilot? Right. Yes, I will talk to her.
Great. Chris, do you have anything for us?
No, sir.
Anybody else?
I have a question for you or somebody on Swalco. When we negotiated that, you didn't have to get a subscription for garden waste, right? You could buy stickers.
Yes.
I have had considerable problems getting them to do that. So,
Okay, we'll check. I guess I don't remember that specifically, so we'll have to check.
Yeah, you can look at the contract online. I did find it, so it's,
is it online?
Yeah, I found it.
You don't need to catch that for
yeah,
me.
it's on our,
I
our
know
website.
before I had to call them 4 times.
Got it, and we can see what's in there, because I had to do it, somebody had a
They
problem.
were clearly.
Oh, I know what it was, they were mischarging for the containers, and I pulled down the contract and found it, or there was a miscommunication in how I think maybe we made the mistake is what it was.
I thought we just had to call them and set it out there and they'd take it.
We're talking about stickers.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, I pay for my yard waste, so
I don't have a need for all summer, so.
yeah, I do, so, yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you were talking recycling.
Oh, yard waste.
But we
Stickers,
keep,
yeah.
yeah,
I can chat with them.
Yeah, and if we have to, I mean, I suppose we could go back and amend the contract if we had to too, I suppose, I don't know.
I thought that was in the contract.
Yeah, I don't know, so,
I can go fetch it, if the contract's online.
it is,
I
online.
can do that for me.
Okay.
Other thing.
Okay, so, I'm gonna move us along then. We have, two sets of meeting minutes, the June 8th and the June 22nd. I just asked that my name be spelled, as Jacob, not Jacob in there. And then there was, some wording that I thought needed to be tweaked, and I don't know, it was in the one for the, it's the June 8th one? Or, no, it's the June 8th, or is it, no, it's the June 22nd, the Stemple lot, so I don't know, Rita, I didn't like the way it was worded here.
Yes, I have an amendment to it,
Okay,
that I can, what I would like it to say is that, I asked for the record to reflect that the village is again improving public parking on both village and private property, and that only the village and not the private owners have maintained or improved this property for as long as I can remember. I wrote it down, I can get it to you.
Perfect, thank you.
And there was I saw a word in here at the end of one of them. I wrote it down, I didn't bring the piece of paper with me. The sentence made no sense, and I think it was just a typo. Here it is, village asterisk, sheriff report on, roll call vote, what page am I on here? Page 3 of, June 22nd.
oh, gross.
Welcome to Mayberry.
I got it, though. Oh, is that gross? Sorry.
Yeah, he's on Bill's, name tag.
Well, let's not do that right now, so.
Okay, so it's on page 3 of 3, on the heading is item 8, the last line, help during this liminal time. Thanks interim village manager Bowling for his help during this.
Isn't that a real word, though? I looked it up.
Is that a real word?
I did, I looked it up. I did the same thing you did. It's a real word.
Who used that word?
Oh, I hear it all the time.
Read it again. What's the word again? It's,
L-I.
yeah, and I looked it up. I Googled it.
Between, it's a change period.
It's a real word, yes.
It's transition.
Transition period, yes. And that's why I left it. I had no idea what that was.
I've learned a new word.
Yeah, liminal.
Last
Yeah.
time I learned a new word was charrette. Big use. We have to get a.
Charrette?
Yes, we'll do a charrette.
So you're okay with that?
Now you'll,
I've never heard that word before.
It looked like Bobby had something to say.
Well, I'm just wondering procedurally, I'm in a process mood.
Uh-oh.
And I would ask, is this a suggestion that when we feel strongly about a subject matter, that we can then direct the clerk, who is the possessor of the minutes, to put our reflection in it?
It has happened a few times over the last 5 years, and when someone has requested it, I have put it in there.
Because I almost feel, and I don't disagree with what you said, but I almost feel like we need to have a defense to that, because potentially somebody's going to be reading that someday. And did we all agree with that?
Well, it did
Or did we
specifically
not?
say that.
That's my problem with it,
Yeah.
is that the vote didn't do that.
Correct.
And yet we're putting it in the minutes.
We didn't
What
vote
is-
on it, though, it was just a comment and a
So Vic, I mean, legally, you're,
Yeah, I mean, the minutes are two things. One, they are a record of votes taken, and they are a reflection of discussions of pertinent matters. Now, frankly, the nature of the discussion is ultimately summed up, and I say this without disrespect to any of you, the most important things you ever have to say is aye or nay. And after that, it's kind of blather, but no offense intended.
We feel that way, but
Unless
Touche.
And that's important.
No disrespect, Ben.
None taken. But again, it's not improper to have specific mention if, as a courtesy to any of the board members, if they ask to have it in there. Others can object if that's the case. At the time, I don't recall any objection, and I think that what Rita has asked is just to clarify the statement that she made for purposes of the permanent minutes.
I didn't object at the time because I didn't think she'd put it in.
But I asked the record to reflect it.
I don't care. You don't give directions to her.
I understand.
And,
I just assumed it would be there.
and the board members, if you choose to excise that entire matter, you have the right to do that. The clerk is the one who prepares the minutes, but you all are the ones who approve it. Only through aye and nay.
Okay, so as the way it's amended, is everyone okay with that, or would you like it strucken?
Like it what?
Removed,
Stricken.
strucken, whatever.
There's a new word.
Strucken.
I believe it's trucking like the Duda man, but I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm gonna be
sure.
careful if I head down that path, there's gonna be another word that's gonna come out, sounds like.
Containing it as long as it's the amended, so it says trustee O'Connor asking the record to reflect her comment that the village.
That's fine.
Okay,
I would be okay with that.
Reasonable.
What?
Reasonable.
I think that's a yes.
I don't know if I can.
Yes.
Jenny,
I'm fine. I think it's reasonable.
okay, are you okay?
Okay.
All right, yes. So then, can I have a motion to approve both sets of minutes as amended? Moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by
Me.
trustee Borowski. Roll call.
Trustee O'Connor?
Aye.
Trustee Misha?
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly?
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer? Aye. Trustee Borowski?
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now, the pay warrant, we need to pay the bills.
Mr. President, members of the board, what I would request is, this came in at the 11th hour. I would request the board to approve the payment contingent on review of those bills between either myself and Denise and trustee Kritzmeyer. We are meeting tomorrow to discuss financial protocols, processes, also some insight into the audit and other areas. And I appreciate the trustee giving me that time. But to your point, Mr. President, the bills have to get paid. There's 79 of them sitting there. Some of them date back a couple months too.
Oh, no.
So it's
That's awful.
Well, to that point, part of the conversation, I don't even feel you sound.
Not at all.
You ready to, over the last several months, and Denise has taken the ball to move forward with Greg's support on streamlining and creating a new email so that there's now a centralized email that is automatically forwarded so that things don't get buried in one person's email, whether that person is or isn't still here. So that there can be more eyes, there can be more backup, and there'll be fewer things going unpaid. That's at least one part of that, yes.
I hope we send apologies with it, with their payment.
Right.
And also a little bit of concern, and I've just got a hard copy of the audit and for a little nightstand reading. The wife says I have to get a life. But with that being said, is the budget process a modified accrual or a cash accrual basis? Because if it's a cash accrual basis, previous year's invoices, depending on how it impacts. That's where impacts the current fiscal year budget. So that's part of my concern. But some of this, quite honestly, because of the transition of Bill coming on and David leaving, I don't want to, some of that can be expected because, yeah, something ends up, especially with this process where it goes to an email address that isn't there and it takes time to,
We had things coming on paper, we had things going to Dave's email, and we had COVID confounding, and then Bill was setting up his email, his village email, and, you know, not his favorite place to live. Technology is not built
So
for his life.
can I ask a question? Ann, did you take a look at the bill list?
I took a look at the bill warrant, just the one thing, there's identical payment to the same,
Faulkner,
yes.
that was,
Where's that from?
that is the demo of a bill, Jeff, do you remember this, the Klopner one?
You may recall that we had brought back to you a resolution because they gave us 2 bids for the work. One was for the demolition, one was for the restoration, and the amounts were nearly identical. I think they were a few pennies
The
off.
hotel, the multi. Yeah, okay.
That's what those are for.
Oh, okay, they actually were identical. I thought they might have been a couple cents off,
Right, yeah,
but that's what that is.
That's kind of the, like managed by outliers. In terms of everything else, nothing else looks,
I mean, I just skimmed it, so, but I didn't have a chance to study it, so.
there's the quote for, Jeff's on, we're good with paying Alliance.
Jeff, did you hear that?
Yes, that's the final payment to Alliance for the bridge project that's been constructed and approved.
Okay.
So that email from you the approval from you must have been like several months ago then.
There was
A little
an independent
backstory.
issue that was unrelated to the contractor that was trying to be resolved. I think that's still in the works, but it didn't seem appropriate to affect the contractor for that.
I understand, okay. There's nothing else that looks aberrant from my eyes at this point.
So
I have looked at the individual invoices, but when I look at the pattern and whatever, this looks the same.
So, I mean, would you make a motion to approve, and then if anyone sees anything else they have concerns about,
Yeah, what was the
to get to Greg? I mean, is that really the best way to do it?
Yes.
I would agree.
If you two work out getting this in a better place, could we address Melanie's bill and the process with her? It's ludicrous.
Communications, stuff like Carrie.
I have no idea what that thing's like, is it? Okay.
It was just brought up today, so I'm actually glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
And that it's confirmed. Okay.
It's our hope through the process that common bills, for lack of a better phrase, ComEd, those monthly recurring bills that we know we're going to get streamlined without having to make 6 different stops, because ultimately what'll happen is it'll be viewed either by myself or Trustee Kritzmeyer, rather than having to have a piece of paper signed, then it has to be, we should be capitalizing on technology and using it to our advantage. And just because we're gonna gain time on it, we're absolutely gonna gain efficiencies on it.
Yeah.
So that's what our hope is with what we're doing. I've been on the phone with Debbie almost every day in my 5 days here, but it's been to streamline this because we have so many other priorities, we shouldn't be spending our time doing double the redundancy.
So much of the stuff that had been hand-coded really is between Debbie's ears at this point, and so unless it's a new anything.
They're our contractor, they're our strategic partner, they are a third-party government. Our job is to oversee them, but let them carry out their functions as we would an employee, but make sure we have that level of accountability so that, and they're insured, so that if an issue does arise, we're able to respond.
Yeah, and just to be clear, in our procedures, like, I'm not a gate, I'm not a roadblock. I have the ability to go in and look at everything, but I don't stop the process if I don't look at everything.
We're seeing it's 9:05. I'd like to move to adjourn.
No.
Oh,
The pay warrant.
I'm sorry, to pay the bills, pursuant to, village manager and Denise's director of operations role and trustee Kritzmeyer's final review.
Okay, moved by trustee Borowski, seconded by trustee O'Reilly. Roll call, please.
Trustee Borowski.
Yes.
Trustee Kritzmeyer. Yes. Trustee O'Reilly. Trustee Michelle.
Yes.
And trustee O'Connor.
All right, motion carried. Jeff, you're up. Village
All right.
engineers report.
Okay, thank you much. So my engineer's report, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you just fine, yeah? You're
Okay,
coming
good.
loud and clear.
All right, so the engineer's report is in the board packet. I will highlight the highlights, if you will. North River Road, the ongoing construction project continues to go well. Unfortunately, with the threat of rain today, they weren't able to actually put any pavement down there, but still looking to get that done later this week and even get the road opened up to traffic as early as next week. The engineer's report does highlight that some barricades were moved and Farmwood had been used by some residents. The barricades were moved by residents, cut through motorists, etc. And the sheriff was notified, and them driving by a few times solved that issue. So the residents in the fields of Long Grove were very pleased that that happened. The bridge cover was struck on the east side June 28th, a few weeks ago. So we're going through the normal process of getting a proposal to get that replaced from Carmichael Construction. The Stemple parking lot we talked about, so I don't want to talk about that
Don't bring that
anymore.
up anymore.
Exactly. The Lake Michigan water connection, I just noted in the engineer's report that I discussed that and brought village manager Greg Jackson up to speed on that, and he's actually going to be meeting with Buffalo Grove to get a better understanding of a number of things, and this will be one of them. Greg, I apologize if I'm stealing your thunder, but that meeting is July 19th, if I remember correctly. The water treatment plant, early last year, Lake County contacted the village about reducing the radium discharge from the water treatment plant. That endeavor was kind of shelved, if you will, due to the pandemic. That request has been re-brought forward, and the village manager and myself were going to try to meet with the county in early August to discuss that and their expectations. The number 9 on the report is our favorite drain tile over on Route 53. He and Associates was out there and started mapping drain tile. Long story short, they found a differing conclusion than IDOT did, that the drain tile is broken under the road. However, they think that that is a break that happened 25 plus years ago when that sanitary sewer force main was put in on the south side of the road. So Hay and Associates, they provided their findings to us. We're distilling that down, and we will be taking that to IDOT for their fixing of that. The Robert Parker Coffin Road pathway is number 12 on the agenda, or on the report, excuse me. And number 20A in the board packet is our request to bid that project. We want to bid that project now so that we get those bids so that we can bring that forward at the first board meeting in August. And that will allow the construction project to be completed this year per the terms of the grant agreement. The engineers.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does this line up, this is what was in our budget too, right?
So
We budgeted.
the budget included $201,000 of construction cost. Our current estimate is $228,000. So, and that's just reflective of the costs of the electrical work. I know that President Bill, you had a question about some of the costs of those types of items, and those have been drastically affected by the current volatility in the market. So that's where the 228 differs from the 201 that's in the budget. I would suggest that we bid the project, get the number so the board can act on that. You know, if they come in favorably, you know, no issues there. If they come in high, there'll be a few different options for that. But one thing that Manager Jackson and myself talked about is get the bids. If they do come in high and the village needs an extension of the grant agreement, this puts us in a position to request that, 6 months before it expires versus in the last hour. So I'll be looking for the village's direction and authorization to bid that. To go back, the grant that we got from the Illinois DNR for the project is $105,700. That's not all construction. Construction is $96,000 and change. So that's the portion of the project that will be funded by that grant. So if we want to pause and discuss that now, and then I can finish my report, or I can finish my report and circle back to that, whichever you prefer.
Well, we have to bid it, so we know what's going on, right? Any objections?
Correct.
Let's bid it. I'm looking at our budget. We had, if we're looking at the right version of the budget, we had expected 105 in from grant and an expense of 222. And we were at a slight surplus in the capital budget. Now some of that surplus just got paid to Club Perk, but it's a good bid.
Any objections? Bobby, any objections? Okay. If there's no objections, keep moving.
Okay. All right. Number 14 on the report, Lake Eleanor Estates, the drain tile. The drain tile is in poor condition as it exits that lake that's in the middle of the subdivision. And to the point of, and we've done this before, is meeting with a contractor. We're actually going to meet with Copenhagen Construction on Friday, just using our relationship with them just to get some ideas on how we complete this effort. Because we were not able to televise and clean the drain tile, it's underwater. So it simply cannot be pumped out because you've still got water coming into it from the lake. So Copenhagen has agreed to come out there and take a look at what has been found and what has been done to date. As noted in the engineer's report and discussed previously, that drain tile and all of the infrastructure, including the roads in Lake Eleanor Estates, is privately owned and maintained. So it will be up to the homeowners association to move forward with whatever what the contractor recommends, or some version of it, if you will. The Robert Parker Coffin Road, the force main, we discussed this in April. They need to replace the force main that comes down Three Lakes Drive and then turns and goes on up Robert Parker Coffin Road. And they agreed to turn that and go into the sanitary sewer in the Archer parking lots. They have submitted a plat of easement for those sanitary sewers. I just wanted to note that had been done. Manager Jackson and myself, we will be looking that over, and ultimately it'll be put on a village board agenda for board approval.
Greg, on that, have we notified the people, especially the residents there, that this is coming and how it will impact them? And secondly, is the coordination between this project and the past even possible?
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, can they be done at the same time?
Yeah, if I can jump in. We do. Okay, so the first thing with notifying the residents, to my knowledge, no communication has been sent out of that, and we do not.
Need to do that. Yep. I don't know that we need to have a public meeting, but we surely need to notify them in advance that this is going to be an inconvenience to them. And certainly an enhancement to them too.
Certainly. So after Manager Jackson and I met earlier this week, we talked about how I don't know the schedule for this project yet. So I reached out to the county to see what that was. However, from our discussions back in April, I did notify the county that the village is advantageous of working together because you've got two projects that are going to be constructed in the same space, if you will. So they acknowledged that request. However, I haven't seen the plans showing anything or had any further discussions of what they quote unquote are willing to do for us. So
Well, I think it's in consideration of what we've been living through on 83 and with North Kruger closed, I think we need a little fair warning that this is coming. And just as from a resident's point of view, 83 has been abominable.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't it have been nice to know?
Well, not even to know, but if they did it day after day after day, but they do it today and 2 days from now and 4 days from now, and so you can't plan on the half an hour it's going to take you to move along it, and it's just nuts.
Yeah, on the route. Excuse me. On the route.
I know it's not your fault.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on the Route 83 project. I know from the state that this is the first time they did what's called the precast concrete pavement patches. So I will be following up with them if they're going to use this strategy, if you will, going forward. So because I agree with you that the delays have been long in terms of it's been going on for a couple months, and certainly if you get caught in that, you're going to be late for a meeting. Okay, so getting back to the engineer's report, number 19, I'm still working with Scott Hoyne on the overhead detection system. I get a call from him last week that he hasn't been successful in getting a firm quote for the electric work. So that's where we are right now.
Jeff?
Yeah.
We met with somebody this past Friday, the other guy, the other company.
Was it Hometown Electric or Phillips Lumek?
I forget.
Okay, I'll circle back with Scott. Was he at that meeting or
Yeah.
part of it? Okay, I'll circle back with Scott, get the details and what we need to do on that then.
Okay.
And then the proposal for the pedestrian light reinstallation in front of the olive tap has been executed. It's going to be about 10 to 12 weeks to procure the parts for that to get that back up and functional again.
There's a lesson to be learned on that one too. So that light post was taken out, no one asked any questions, and everyone saw what happened. There was pictures taken, right? And all we did was make the comment about the light post being down. And then Mike Marr sent me pictures of the truck that did it. Everyone knew. So there's a lesson to be learned on that. We just need to, maybe when we see something like this, maybe just ask people, did you see anything? You know, and the police report got filed and just wild. I mean, literally, Bobby and I had a meeting and brought it up. Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And Denise has had great success with pursuing the insurance reimbursement. So, lesson learned, absolutely. So, I understand the attorney for the Grove is in attendance at the board meeting tonight, so I'm gonna, and he wants to make some comments and remarks during public comment. So I'm going to refrain from addressing that item. So at this point, I will end the report subject to question.
Yeah, go ahead, answer questions. I'm gonna see if I can.
I couldn't hear you, Jeff.
The attorney for the Grove is right here, and he's here to have questions or discussion with Jeff or something.
Oh, God, I see 3 still.
Oh, wow.
I got kicked off.
Harassment.
I got kicked off the network and now I shut down the whole meeting.
Saturday needs to be posted.
Okay, we're still all here.
Thank you. Yep, and then just continue.
Just hit continue?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't learn from our mistakes sometimes, that's for sure.
All right, we're back, so sorry, go ahead.
All right, Jeff, the attorney's here.
Well, no, I think that's for public comment, so, we'll come back to that. Anything else you want to highlight on your report, Jeff?
Oh, at the last board meeting, there was some discussion to follow up with Arboria and Tallgrass on their restoration. The village forester met with representatives from Arboria today. I don't have the results of that meeting just yet, but we are following up on that.
That's great. How about Harbor Shade?
That one is a little bit more difficult. There's been some change in personnel over there, so we're still navigating through that and who we need to talk to.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, end of report.
Okay.
Jeff, I have a quick question. Number 28, is that the property where they kind of clear cut all the trees?
Right. Yep, they clear cut the trees and the village forester went out there after the fact on that and approved the tree clearing. There was subsequent discussion about building a berm along 53. And we advised them what was needed to make that permit application. And we have not seen that application come through just yet. I just wanted to highlight that that discussion had been had. That's why it's on the report. Yep.
Well, we don't have an application yet, right?
Correct.
So we're waiting.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Jeff, on Creekside, on the guy on Creekside, I have, left 2 messages on his garbage can.
This Hager man?
Yeah, and so, did he ever call you?
I have not heard from him.
Yeah, because another neighbor stopped me the other day, and there, the creek is dry, and so nothing's coming out of that pond. So if there's a next step, I think it's time.
Okay. Let me get with Manager Jackson on that one, and we'll talk about what we want to do. You know, certainly one option is to go inspect the pond with notification to the sheriff or something like that, but I want to talk to Greg about that before
I
we.
think that's what we did like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
2.5
Yep.
years, just went and did it.
Yeah.
And then one comment on your report, which of course I love, but I think you need an exit plan for some of the projects. It's just getting so big.
Yeah, there was
Oh, yeah,
actually.
take them off put them off on another page if they're complete, right?
Yeah, and we do there, and it's I'm glad you brought that up, Bobby, because there's a number of projects that were on here, because I noticed the same thing after I sent this over last week, that geez, you know, there's a lot of projects that, hey, we're waiting for this, that, or the other thing. And we actually took a drive through the village and found there's been some projects that have been completed without us knowing, or started without us knowing and missed some inspections. So I'm going to be working with Margarita on that.
Are we good with Jeff's report?
Yep.
Okay, Jeff, thank you very much. The last item on the agenda is public comment. And I now like to open it up for public comment. Anyone want to make a public comment? Eric, is that you, right?
I have one.
What is it? Okay. Is it, I'm sorry?
Pat.
Pat, I'm sorry, Pat, apologize, yep.
All right.
No, go ahead, go first, Pat, yep.
Okay, board, thank you for allowing me to be here today. My name is Pat Greco. I am the attorney for the Grove Country Club. I'm the in-house counsel at Greco & Sons Distribution, soon to be a subsidiary of Cisco.
formerly worked at McDermott and Emory, and before that, I was in law school at Northwestern, just down the road. I am here on behalf of the berm project. So, as you all know, we signed the settlement agreement last August, with a projected completion date of June. Due to COVID and the supply chain issues, I have been alerted by N&J, the contractor on the project, that costs have skyrocketed upwards of 200%. Right now, the berm is graded to 9.5 foot. The settlement agreement was 8 foot. However, that difference, that delta, will cost north of 6 figures, 200 plus truckloads, and frankly will challenge the viability of that entity. So I am here on behalf of the Grove, as we are kind of caught in the middle of this situation, to try to, or to propose potentially amending the settlement agreement to permit the grading to remain as is. The vegetation, the testing, all the other components of the settlement agreement have been abided by outside of the completion date, which there is a penalty in the settlement agreement for, in which they will have to pay. And what I would ask is that the board consider, for this concession, potentially a beautification project, a pathway, some other consideration that N&J can provide to the village, instead of adhering to the plan as is in the settlement agreement. The way I see it, it's hampering the Grove from being a fully functional club. The membership has doubled. They're having a profitable year for the first time in many years. They've built out, I don't know if anyone's a member here, but they've put a lot of money into the internal build out. They've greatly improved the facilities, which is a benefit to a lot of your residents here, and is also a benefit to the village in terms of tax revenues and other financial incentives. What I brought today was a rendering of the berm with the 9.5 foot grading. So as it is now, this is a 2-year rendering with the vegetation that was planned. We don't have to, go through it in detail now, but I guess my point in making this illustration is that while 1.5 feet on 10 foot, on 8 feet is a considerable deviation. When you consider the vegetation, even at just 2 years, which is probably almost twice the size of the berm, is less of a material deviation. And I also have some letters that I'll leave with the board here from Manhart Engineering, which all of us know is a reputable firm, basically saying that the drainage is adequate, the soil testing is complete and is within spec, and that all things considered, aesthetically and functionally, 9.5 feet versus 8 feet is not a material difference. I know that there's a lot of history with this situation. I kind of got brought in on the last minute as it became more of a legal matter with the club. But I would ask that we put the history aside if we can. And again, I heard a lot of things tonight about potential projects, a public bathroom, perhaps. Although these contractors don't do that, perhaps a financial contribution towards a project like that would suffice, or would make the board more willing to, yes.
Could you kindly position that so the camera can see it, so that Jenny can see it, because A, she lives near there, and B, she's an expert on growing things.
Jenny, can you see that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, yes, I can. Thank you.
And what I would say is that I do not represent N&J. They are members of the club. They're actually reciprocal members of this club. They are friends. I will tell you that I do think that I do not think they have the capital to withstand this. And they employ people. They have families. I know that there's been a history, but I think that there's a benefit to them providing you with a service, with a beautification, with a pathway, with a public bathroom. I don't know what the benefit is 8 feet versus 9.5 feet, and Manhart has signed off on it. So I think if the board would be open to considering the proposal, I know that my client and the members and the residents here would be appreciative because they would just want to get this project over with. I know it's hampered their experience, their ability to hold events there, you know, the sooner we can get this all behind us, the better. I think everyone agrees on that. But I do know that there's history, and I know that, you know, that this is kind of a sore subject, so understanding either way. But I wanted to come here on behalf of the Grove, somewhat indirectly on behalf of the contractor, and just request for a concession on the settlement agreement in exchange for some other contribution to the village here.
So they're saying that a six-figure expense here that they didn't anticipate, that we didn't cause, would send them on there, but they would be willing to have a conversation about some future project of substantially less value?
Well, substantially less value than 6 figures, I would guess I don't know, substantial is kind of subjective, but, you know, there would have to be guardrails, but what we discussed was, 30,000, 25,000, something in that range. I mean, that is what they've represented to me. I don't do their books, I'm not their counsel.
Mr. Greco?
Yes.
It was while I heard what you said, it's a difference of 1.5 feet.
Correct.
My information is that they were authorized to bring in 8,700 cubic yards. They sent us a survey. Based upon that survey, there are 29,500 cubic yards on that piece of land. That's major.
Mm-hmm.
They put up a bond, I believe.
They did.
Okay. From the beginning, my impression, my information is such that I believe now that they have played us from the beginning. They lied to us. They brought in more than what was authorized, claimed they didn't do it. Then we got into, okay, how are we going to settle this? What are we going to do? We reduced the amount of penalty that we had said we were going to levy.
Correct.
This spring was supposed to have been looking like that.
Correct.
It's now July.
Correct.
And in June, I think it was, I'm going to say it was in June, basically they said to us, oh, were we supposed to develop a landscaping plan? We thought you guys were going to do it. We sent out our forester, who developed a plan, okay, said this is what we'd like it to look like. They were supposed to present us with a bona fide plan. Now, they're saying, gee, we can't afford to do this. I think they put up a bond, did they not?
Correct.
Of?
130-some thousand, I recall.
My thought on this right now is you posted a bond, give us the bond, we'll have it taken care of.
Right, but then they would have to repay the bond, and it's a similar amount. I know it's not your problem, believe me.
That's the purpose of a bond.
It doesn't feel like a lot of good faith has been occurring on that.
So, Vic, if I may add, so we're in public comment, right? It was not supposed to go on to a huge discussion. Did you get enough information tonight? I think it's something we're gonna have to talk about.
This is appropriate executive session matter, so we can bring the conversation back internally.
Yeah.
But I think that Mr. Greco wanted to come tonight to share with you what the concept was from their side for your consideration, if you so
And
choose.
it's more, exactly, and it's more so just to get the project done for the club. I mean, that's who I represent. That's who I represent, and again, they're friends, they're a contractor, they're customers, but totally understand the history and the frustration, believe me, I totally understand. I guess my point is, you know, they could provide you a benefit. This is not, I don't see the downside here, apart from the history.
The email and the residents who have spoken to me, I'll only speak for me, they don't think this is a benefit. They are really bent about Mount Long Grove, they call it.
Well, anyways, why don't we stop here? We appreciate you presenting for the board.
Can I ask a question to Jeff? Jeff, is the comment about the escalating construction costs valid in your opinion? I think that's a fair open session question.
Well, I would draw this parallel that the cost that we just got for the Stemple parking lot construction, albeit different, was came in what we had last year. And I've talked to the village forester about the next item, which would be the landscaping to complete the project. And their office, Urban Forest Management, excuse me, doesn't see any supply chain issues in that for that scope of work.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Yep.
I'll leave this here.
Thank you for your patience.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, so any other,
I had one thing,
Sure.
but it might be, Jim, we lost Jim in the transition.
That's something else, Pat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We lost Jim in the transition, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it was like when the whole thing dropped, he dropped and he didn't rejoin and all of that, but, many of us have a card for Jim, some of his favorite whiskey, and there's a tree in my car.
How did that happen?
Well, a long trip down, and thanks to trustee Michaud, but it was.
Why don't we get him, call him on the phone and get him back on?
does he have a phone, cell phone?
He does, but he doesn't answer it.
He doesn't have a cell phone.
I didn't think he did.
Phone line, you know,
Well, do you have his home line?
he has a home line, yeah, and
I don't want to reschedule it
He
for
won't
next
answer,
meeting.
he won't answer his cell.
we can do that. So the tree is to be planted outside of Village Hall. Jenny and Nick have identified and offered to plant it very well, with lots of good care and lots,
I
there.
thought that was the tree that's out there.
No, there's a tree. So the tree is a bur oak. Jenny and Nick picked it out. It's native to the area. It's not a very big one, but it's a very healthy one. And the fact that we got a smaller one and it will be in its forever home sooner will give it a much bigger chance. And working with Denise and Sherry on an appropriate quote and plaque on that. And you'll be happy to know that thanks to Jeff, we have his favorite whiskey behind me, and I'll put that on his desk.
Well, thank goodness Jeff got it.
I'll put that on his desk with his card.
Should we tell Jim how much we enjoyed it?
I was gonna tell the story, if we're late, I'll tell.
Yeah, leave a note in a half-full bottle that we put
Thank you for orchestrating all that. We appreciate it.
I sent my daughter and with the right whiskey, and she came back with something that people at Vinnie said was better.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, but we should get him the one that he likes. And I figured he has enough time, he can take 2 bottles.
So is there any other public comment out there? Okay, I'm gonna end the public comment period. So, do we want to go into executive session today, or
Yes.
skip it? We do, okay.
I think we do. It's early.
Oh,
We've got 20 minutes. Everything's relative.
Okay, all right, so, then we're
I don't
looking,
think it'll take long.
we're looking for a motion to go into executive session for personnel pending or threatened litigation. Okay, so is moved by trustee O'Connor, seconded by trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Friday, trustee Kissner, trustee O'Reilly, trustee Misha,
Hi.
and trustee O'Connor.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session. Jeff, do you wanna, should we have Jeff here?
Yeah.
Jeff, you're gonna join us? Yep, thank you.
Good night.
Thanks for being here,
Good night.
Denise.
See you, everybody.
All right, let's see if I can, make this work now. Who is Holly?
You said you were gonna wait.
I didn't have time to.
That's okay, I'm eating mine and.
Okay, so I can do a,
And now Chris can be sure that I can put my fingers on it.
I will head off.
what'd you say?
I'll just leave.
Well, we need Jenny to join us,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Not in my kitchen.
But I think everyone here can be here, so. Great.
Yes, I think that's correct. Just keep an eye if anybody tries.
Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn?
Move, so moved.
Okay, so moved by trustee O'Reilly, seconded by trustee O'Connor, roll call.
I want to make it
Yes.
10 o'clock.
Trustee Kusma. Yes. Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Micho. And trustee O'Connor.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, good night.
Good seeing everybody.
Yeah, congrats on the first meeting.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff.
Can you send me, that statement that you read at the beginning of the